Welcome back to another episode of the Loan Officer Marketing Podcast. We are here with Brendan McKay. Brendan, thank you for being back on the show.
Yeah, hell yeah, Chris. Thanks for having me on, man.
Absolutely. From number 48 to number 38 on the Scotsman's Guide this year. Congratulations.
Thank you. You just told me that you broke the news for me. I was like, I'm hoping I stayed in the top 50. I didn't know, how everything was going to shake out. So I'm stoked. I love that stuff. Like I don't know, all those lists and stuff. Like when you're a one man show and you're competition junkie, like I probably care about that stuff a little bit more than I should. But it's a way to kind of see how you're doing compared to the rest of the world, especially in an industry that's so market volatile. It can be tough to track exactly where you're at. So yeah, I'm stoked.
Oh, 100%. And seeing growth in the rankings in a difficult market. So I know everybody's going to be wondering, what's he doing? How is he doing it? So what are you focused on right now in the business? Did you pivot your strategy at all, or is it still the fundamentals? What are you focused on to build the growth?
I mean, it's like still what I think are the fundamentals, but I still think a lot of originators, brokerages, and lenders can get better at it. It is efficiency all day long, and technology. And it, even me 6-7 years ago is like, oh, technology. It sounds. I'm not like whatever. I know how to get my way around a computer, but like I don't consider myself like super ahead of the curve as far as tech goes. And you just don't have to be now. It's so easy. There's so much software out there that was enterprise level only that is very, very accessible, and you can pay people to get it all set up, and it's just not all that expensive. So we have just continued to focus on a very simple business model, and that's low rates and good service. But the good service is backed by processes, efficiency, technology that lets us do a lot with not a ton of people, and deliver the experience that we want to. And then when you have low rates and good service, the referrals, the referrals come, and the random realtors that you work with keep coming back to you for more. Even you trip across on the first transaction, and you just provide a completely different experience than they're used to, and it's really not that hard. They keep coming back. So that to me, it's blocking and tackling, but I recognize that it is stuff that a lot of people out there could get a lot better at.
Yeah, 100%. So I would love to get into the tech stack, but before we do, for our listeners, where does the majority of your business come from? Is it past customer database marketing? Is it referrals? Where do you get the majority of your business from?
It's all referrals, and now some of those come from past past clients, either repeat business or referrals from them. But I'm not. I should do better, frankly, at staying in touch with my past database. I maybe get something out to them once every 2 months, but it's not some regular constant thing that we're doing. Once every 2 months, they get an email that I keep it fun, keep it light, and we have a killer Christmas party at the end of the year that everyone looks forward to. But that's really it as far as that goes. It's all referrals. I have realtors that send me business, but it's not my focus. I'm not out there, chasing down realtors or doing anything like that. It's all been very organic relationships where we met each other on a transaction and hit it off type of thing. I do a lot of networking in my community. I'm on the board of my Chamber of Commerce and all that stuff. And then frankly, I'm an independent mortgage broker, and most mortgage brokers are only licensed in their state, or maybe like I'm in the DC area. So Maryland, DC, and Virginia are only really licensed in their region. And the mortgage broker community is something I care deeply about and very involved in. So I do get a lot of peer-to-peer referrals from other mortgage brokers. So that's it in a nutshell. Just very natural. Like people, when they're talking to me, it's a very warm handoff. Like we're starting off from a good place.
And you mentioned process, and a lot of your realtor referrals coming from people that are doing a deal with you. So they're on the other side of the transaction. They see your process. So what does the process look like? Do you reach out to those referral partners as part of the deal, and then post closing? What does that look like?
And that is something that we actually did improve further last year. So we leverage. We're big on communication.
Yep.
Period. But especially with realtors, which isn't something I did initially. And it dawned on me one day, I try to always think about everything from the other person's perspective, however I'm interacting, even on this, I'm trying to think about things that the audience might be listening to that could be helpful and they could take away, right? Like, and that's an attitude I encourage everybody to have. Your life will be a lot easier if you do. But realtors, it dawned on me that like realtor spends months and months working with a buyer, showing them a million houses, especially in a competitive market. And then suddenly they're handing their paycheck off to a loan officer that in my case, they might have no experience with, right? And that's a scary, scary prospect. Same thing on the listing agent side. Like, they all the offers, they accepted yours, and all they care about at that point is if the transaction goes through, and they lose control at that point. That's a scary proposition for 30 days. And some agents might only close 5 or 6 transactions a year, maybe less. You're talking about 20% of their paycheck, right? So that's a big responsibility that you should take really seriously. So I've gotten more proactive. As soon as I'm talking to a buyer, are you working with a realtor? Yes. Okay, great. Like, and getting ahead of that conversation, making them feel comfortable immediately, which also makes them less likely to interject their loan officer into the situation, right? Like, it's easier to like push somebody away from a stranger, but if they feel comfortable with you, less likely to happen. And then throughout the process, I am emailing them once a week. Every Tuesday, I do Tuesday updates on every single purchase transaction in process, both on the buyer side and listing side. But we leverage automations to do a lot of it.
Yep.
When it goes under contract, email goes out to the buyer side, listing side. When the disclosures are signed, when the loan estimate's signed, when the appraisal's been ordered, when all these different things, both sides are getting automated emails every single step of the way. I think we're up to 25 automations for agents. And I didn't want to do that initially because I hate getting automated emails. I don't like being spammed, but like they love it. It just touching them as much as possible makes them sleep better at night. So it's something we do constantly. And then, yeah, absolutely. Like clear to close. A lot of these automations come from our operations manager because that's who I really want them communicating with. But you better believe the clear to close is coming from me. You better believe the day of closing is coming from me, and asking if you want your buyers to, like, you had a good experience, you want more of your buyers getting the same, like, let's talk, that kind of stuff. So we ramped that up pretty drastically last year for sure. Sugar.
What are all the different tools that you're using?
I'm sorry, you cut out, and I'm not sure how much I cut out for a second there.
No, you've been perfect. It's
Okay.
been, yeah.
What was your last question?
So your tech stack, how are you triggering out all those emails? What does the technology look like in the business?
So we use for our point of sale, so like online application and generating a 3.4 file is all done through Arrive. Okay. But actual pipeline management and kind of what would be a CRM and automations, we use Monday.com, which is not a mortgage or real estate specific software. But it is incredible. It's so easy to use. I mean, excuse me, we did pay a developer to get it set up and kind of update it and things like that. But it is stuff. If I wanted to take the time to, I could figure out pretty easily. And it doesn't cost very much to get somebody to help you with that. So we use Monday and we absolutely love it. It's fantastic.
That's awesome. Now, are you automatically triggering people through your workflow based on where they're at? Like, is it talking to the loan processing software and automatically triggering, or is your team manually moving them down the pipeline and the pipeline is what's triggering off the automation?
A little of both. So when an online application comes in through Arrive, it speaks to Monday and lets Monday know it's in, and a couple automations go out at that point. It also moves into our front end person's workflow. Like our team works out of Monday, really, right? And then, but like, for example, when the appraisal's in, or when the appraisal gets ordered, it goes from, blank status to ordered, right?
Yep.
And it's just clicking a button, ordered, boom, emails go out. And then when it comes in, and there's no value issues. We have a different process for that kind of stuff. It's just clicking, opening that up and moving it from one to the other. It's a 2-second click, and then automated emails go out based on that.
Yep.
I would love to talk to AMCs about being able to integrate with their software, and we could probably get there, but from their perspective, not enough brokerages are doing this kind of stuff yet that it's probably worth the lift for them yet, but I definitely see the future going in that direction for sure.
Yeah, 100%. We're working on APIs in the background constantly. We've got a team member that's fully just working on that project.
See, and you use, just to make a point of how easy this stuff is, like, I kind of know what APIs are. And from the context of the conversation, I know you're talking about exactly what I'm talking about, but like, I don't use that kind of language. So if you're sitting out there and being like, this is too tough for me, like that's my level of understanding with it. I don't know any of the technical jargon. I've got someone and I go, I want this to do this.
Yep.
And then they make it happen. And it's really that easy.
Well, there's huge insights there because that is a who, not a how.
Yes.
And for most things in the mortgage industry, it is a whole lot easier to find who rather than how do I actually do that.
No, you're absolutely correct about that. And like there are the people are out there. There are plenty of young people that know this software inside and out. Monday has a whole certification program and yada yada. And it truly is not that difficult.
Yep. Yeah, I could not agree more. And automations are coming out all the time. We run Loan Officer CRM .ai, and we're building a lot of this stuff into that platform. But you have to make it click button easy. It has to be just, a couple clicks of a button, or there's somebody there that they can talk to on the phone in order to get quick answers to it.
No, absolutely. And because we need it designed where, when business does scale up and we need to hire more operations, we
Yep.
need them to be running on day one, right? So it can't be that difficult. And what we love about it is, our two full-time operations people right now, they're former underwriters. Like they don't need a step-by-step manual on stuff, but the software can provide that. So like if I said, these 6 things need to be done before you can move it from stage A to stage B, it's built into it, and they have to click off the 6 check marks and make sure, okay, I pulled credit, I did this, I did that, like all these very basic steps that I don't expect someone right out of college to know to do. It's built right into the software,
Yeah.
and you can have them do it like literally after 1 day of training, they can be productive. And that's what you need in this industry.
Brendan, that's such a refreshing perspective because, again, we're having these conversations every day. And I think one thing that a lot of people lose with technology is that, yes, it is frustrating, especially for people that aren't technically apt. But for 90% of the tasks that you're going to do them once. And then you never have to go back and do them again because they're automated at that point.
Yep.
It's like that's taking a process that you do over and over and over and over again in your mortgage business and making it so that you can only do that process once.
And the example I like to use, and it's really the mentality that you're talking about that stops people from doing it, is because, okay, I could do that, but it's going to take me more time. Like the example I like to use is email templates, right? Like
Yeah.
let's just back away from automations for a second. Email templates, like you have an email that you send out 100 times a year, right? And of that email, and there are 100 versions of it, one is the best and one is the worst and everything's in between. And you could send out the best one every single time, and you're sending them to different people. Even some of them, my realtors get the same one. They know they don't care, right? Like, but writing that template and doing it really well does take more time in the moment than just getting that email out that I need to get right now. But just take the extra 10 minutes and save yourself hours and hours over the course of the year, and also improve the quality of what goes out. Never have another typo go out. And again, word it exactly the way that you want to word it when you're sending it and you're sharp at the moment, as opposed to hungover on a Sunday morning and getting a pre-approval letter out, right? Like that is not the best version of it. But if you have a template, doesn't matter how hungover you are, it goes out really well every single time. So like that's the way you just want to be thinking. Put a little extra effort in up front to save time long term and make the output better. And it's the same thing with automations. It just sounds more complicated than it actually is.
Yep, I could not agree more. And the thing that I love what you said about that is it's the best version, because one thing that stops loan officers from making money is asking for the business,
Yeah.
because it's so awkward. It's like,
it is. You don't have to do it. Yeah.
It works. It works. It works almost every single time. Like, do you have a friend, family member, or coworker that's looking to buy, sell, or refinance? Like, there is so much money sitting in that one sentence. People don't say it.
I have that hang up. Like I completely have that hang up. But honestly, it's a lot easier when you're just writing an automation. You're not writing the template and you're not writing it to someone, right? Because the awkward part isn't anyone. If I told any loan officer that hang up, I get it. Just write a script for other people, though. They would be able to do it in 2 seconds. And that's when you're writing the automation, the psychology of it isn't I'm asking this realtor, it's just, oh, I'm building it into it, and then it goes out and you're not actively doing it. And I don't know, it shouldn't matter, but we all know it does.
Yeah.
So there's another, yeah, you're absolutely right. I never thought about that, but you're totally right.
Yeah. And, you know, where I've seen the biggest lift from that with our clients is pre-approvals. So many people have a hang up asking pre-approvals for referrals or 5-star ratings and reviews.
Yep.
I believe that when you put a wealth team around somebody and they come in, they submit an application with you, and it's like, do you have a financial planner? Do you have somebody to help you with your taxes? Do you have somebody to help you with your accounting? And you're building a list of people you can refer them to. But what you're also doing is providing them with people that they need to go through the transaction. If that's your application process, darn right, you can ask for a 5-star rating and review before you fund the deal, and you'll get more of them. And people that are pre-approved are oftentimes talking to the most amount of people and people they can refer to you during that time period when they're pre-approved before they actually purchase. So if you can template that process of asking for the business, it's phenomenal.
No, you're absolutely right, because when they're pre-approved, that's when they're out looking, and that's when they're talking to people, and people are like, hey, what do you got going on? Oh, well, we're actually trying to buy a house. We went this weekend, that weekend, yada, yada. That's when they're having those conversations more. During, once they're under contract and between then and closing, yeah, then, but they're like life is pretty hectic then too, right? So,
Yep.
no, you're absolutely right. And like, as far as referral partners, when our automation that goes out when they ratify, and it's like basically a handoff email from me, to our operations manager. And at the end, it talks about our referral network. And I'm probably one of the only law officers in the country that gets regular referrals from a maid service company. Did I do the owner's mortgage, and is that part of it? Yeah, but not really. Like, it's because I provide her more referrals than probably anybody else does. And like, it's an easy one too. Like, do you want to get your house deep cleaned before you move in? Do you want weekly maid service? Like, that is stuff a lot of people, especially in my market, want. And I just have a list of 10 appropriate referral partners that someone buying a house might want. And not only is it helpful, but like, all of those people refer business to me, and I obviously believe in the work that they do as well. But it's just an easy way to keep referrals going to the people within my network. 100%.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And there's so much value in there because, one of the things that we went through when rates went up is realtor business slowed down. And I know many, many people in the Freedom Club and in the Mortgage Marketing Animals and our client base that grew throughout that time period. And almost all of them either made more offers, and it was like, okay, I'm just going to talk to 10 times more realtors. I'm just going to step it up and increase. I'm going to, there's less per realtor. I'm just going to go get more realtors, keep the volume flowing. But what I found is divorce attorneys,
Yeah.
financial planners, moving companies, home services contractors. I mean, I knew somebody in the mortgage industry who has since retired, but he built a phenomenally successful mortgage business on hair salons. And it was just like, where do people go to talk? And it was women at hair salons. So like, he was in a salon once a week getting a haircut. His wife was going, she had the best hair in town because she was going once a week because they were constantly networking and referring. But if you think about it, there's business everywhere in the mortgage
You can
business.
make anything work, especially if it's something you naturally care about. We do a lot of advocacy work. And I was talking to Katie Sweeney, who, CEO of the back, and we rolled out the state captains program and basically for state level advocacy. And one of our best members, her name is Michelle Dugan. She's a captain of Mississippi. And she loves advocacy. She loves all the stuff she's doing. And she started, but noticing like she spent a lot of time doing it, and it's not what she would describe as non-revenue producing activity, right?
Yep.
Until recently. And she formed a coalition in Mississippi with the realtors and the home builders and one other group, whatever, you got it. And they meet once a month, and they talk about everything they have going on and where they can help each other and yada, yada. And now she's doing business with the president of the Mississippi Realtors Association, who's a real deal realtor, right? But the point of all this is they found something they mutually care about, which is advocacy. And now she has a reason to be talking about them about something other than directly doing business. But it's all going to come, right? And that's what every loan officer that wants to do business with realtors is looking for. How can I find something to talk to them about that is something other than will you send me loans, right? Like
Hmm.
an advocacy, or whether it's going to hair salon or whether it's going to whatever you care about and you're passionate about outside of the business, there's a group out there that you can be regularly involved in and meeting people and likely meeting realtors and other professionals and just other referral sources. So dive in, go into it for the right reasons, and get involved, and then the community around it will know you, and business will come. It works every single time.
Huh. That is so valuable, Brendan. That is amazing.
Yeah,
And thank you so much for all the advocacy that you've done over the years in the industry. That's absolutely fantastic.
yeah, thanks,
Um,
man.
I want to be respectful of your time. We are going into what some feel is going to be a much better year this year than last. How are you looking forward? How are you planning? And what are your growth plans for the future?
So I'm always a hope for the best, plan for the worst. Is always my model. So my growth plans, honestly, I do spend so much time doing advocacy work, and that is where a lot of my passion lies. And I want a lot of my goals with how I run my business is to be able to still be profitable and spend as much time doing that as possible. And one thing we are open to for the first time is actually bringing on loan officers. Prior to that, McKay Mortgage has been a one originator shop. And because I don't want to manage anyone, especially salespeople, frankly. But we've gotten to the point where our process is built out well enough, and it really, I do believe it is a cut above everything else that's out there. And also at least a little bit of a reputation, and largely a positive one within the originator community, that we're open to it. And we think that we can be picky enough with the type of people we would bring on. And I'm not looking to bring on 1 million people, not looking to get licensed in 1 million states. Bring on 3 or 4 loan officers by the end of the year that are referral based business and just want to go out and sell. Because me as an originator, I haven't looked at a pay stub in a very long time. I don't look at tax returns. I don't do any of that stuff. It's like we kind of have a loan officer's dream, and they can just go out and sell as long as they know what they're doing. If they're throwing
Yeah.
crap at the wall, they're going to muck up our system. So that's my growth plan for this year, is actually imagine that, bringing on a couple loan officers, God forbid. So
That is awesome.
that's our change for the year.
Very cool. And where do people go to get more information about you, the business? How do people reach out?
Yeah, and I don't Google Brendan McKay Mortgage. I'm very active on Facebook. That's where a lot of the mortgage originator community is. I'm very active on LinkedIn because that's where a lot of for the advocacy stuff I do, a lot of executives and people of that nature are. So LinkedIn or Facebook, great way to get a hold of me. You can email me at bmckay@mktg.com. I'm more accessible than I probably should be, so it's not difficult.
That's awesome. Well, again, Brendan, thank you so much for being on the show again. Absolutely wonderful to have you here.
Dude, hell yeah, Chris. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.